Oh, hey,
Hey,
Rob.
Gage, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you? It's been a crazy week. How's your week going?
It's been pretty crazy. You know what? I haven't even had breakfast yet. I know we're having these lunch calls, and I just wondered, it looks like you're drinking coffee too.
Yeah, my breakfast has been all liquid so far this morning as well, just meeting after meeting. So I hear you there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well, I've heard of the
I'll
liquid lunch, now the liquid breakfast. Do we
Yeah.
need to have a conversation?
It's never too early to start. Granted, there is no whiskey in this time, but some mornings, why not? A little Irish coffee.
Why not? Why not? Hey, I'm just going to grab some cereal here.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that sounds good. Ooh, that looks good. I might try the same thing, huh?
What? Yours is already
Oh, yours
open.
has all this weird French all over it. That's
Well, you know what drew me to this was the glyphosate free.
Oh, was it? Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it was one of the things. And then
if they actually get third-party tested, or if that's just their own badge.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's a third-party verified, but it would be good to know if that was third-party verified, because I think glyphosates are pretty important things to be talking about.
Okay, it says on the side panel here, Biochecked Non-Glyphosate Certified. So.
Oh yeah, there we go. Well, I don't know about Biocheck. I'm gonna have to check them out, if you will.
Yeah, there have been a handful of glyphosate testing, kind of like Tested Clean and other companies like that popping up. So it's a bit of the Wild West right now. I don't know if any brand is taking the lead.
Well, you know what? I remember Megafood was doing, they were one of the first brands to come out against glyphosate back in, I think it was like 2016, 2017, like really pioneers of it. And then I think Nature's Path also talks about glyphosate, but yeah, this is one of the few products I see with the glyphosate free. Oh, you are you're jumping right into that cereal.
Yeah, gotta give it a try. Let's see how these sprouted cocos.
Sprouted cacaos. I like to eat my cereal first before putting any sort of milk or milk product on it. They're pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty solid.
Well, I guess it's an oat breakfast.
There you go.
Or oat lunch. And did you know that oats grow using 7% less water than almond or cow milk?
7%. I would have expected bigger than that.
Or sorry, seven times less, not 7.
Okay.
Seven times.
I would expect a lot less than almonds. That's like one of the problems with that industry, right? Is water consumption.
Who did that study? I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah. You might know them, actually.
I might know them. Well, actually, it'd be interesting on Earth's Own to also have a glyphosate free, because it is oats.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're using similar oats. One thing that I appreciate also is knowing exactly where those oats are coming from, and not just the oats, but the cacao. And you can go to, I think, does yours have a little QR code on it?
Yeah, it does. I haven't tried it yet though. Let's check it out.
Yeah. I don't like soggy cereal either.
Oh, you better start eating. I like how you're going oat on oat over there.
Well,
Yeah. You like to keep your ingredients simple. I dig it.
It's like Bob Dylan, white on white.
So I scanned the code here. Takes me to a sprouted cereals page. Okay, and then they have you type in a code from the package.
Okay, it doesn't go right. Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that if it's a QR code, you may as well program everything into it, but I'm guessing they have enough different sources per batch that they have to do it this way.
Yeah.
But I wonder if there's a way to just do kind of dynamic printing, sort of the way they print this little code on the back. Like, could they also print the QR code in that manner on the back?
Well, because it's one extra step that maybe we wouldn't need to do.
Yeah, maybe it's technically not possible, but maybe it's just expensive to do it that way. Who knows? All right, here we go. I got to a sprouted cacao's page that loads a little slow here, but okay.
What does it look? Pardon me.
Well, it's got like a big image of the product here, and then as you scroll, the first thing it says is, whoops, I clicked it, the buy online, which is kind of funny because if I'm scanning this code in, I think I already bought it.
You think you already bought it?
Yeah. Like it should have led with the transparency information. So below that, then you get into flipping between previous and next products and ingredients and nutrition. And then they start telling you who grew your oats or your rice or garbanzos, etc. So it's interesting. I feel like from a user experience standpoint, they should have just, if I'm scanning the code to learn more, I want to go straight to those ingredients, not to like buy the product and learn about the nutrition.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, you know what? I'm not a fan of QR codes. Just because of that, they're not easy to use yet. I think there's lots of opportunity for QR codes. So I typically just go to the website. And on the website, I can see all these folks who grow the cacao or the brown rice syrup. What's in here? The orcs, the organic oats. What about the orcs that are growing? Cacao. Oh, hey, there's Ben from Big Tree Farms.
Oh, nice.
Rolling Seeds, we know them. There's actually little videos about.
Oh.
Which is really cool.
What page are you on? Oh, you're on the farmers page.
Yeah, onedegree.com farmers.
I didn't see.
Like, look at the oats.
Oh.
Yeah.
On the mobile version, you have to click the plus button, and then there's a video for each farmer.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's look at Edge Organics in Barhead. That's about 4 hours north of where I am.
Well, you don't even need this page. Just hop in the car and go check it out.
Yeah, exactly. So that's who's growing my oats, or possibly growing my oats in the cereal.
Well, as your beard grows back, you two will get together and get along nicely.
Well, I usually cover it up with a little bit of
cocoa crumbs.
Cocoa crumbs. Yeah. Well, actually, this is really interesting because they talk about staying clear of desiccants like glyphosate, which is in Monsanto's Roundup. And we know that it's, this is one of the things about the Non-GMO project, right? So Wonder Bread is now Non-GMO certified. Yeah. But that doesn't take into consideration any of the glyphosate issues. It only looks at, the GMOs, and there's kind of, unless you dive deep, like, the work you and I do, Gage, unless you dive deep into it, you might not know that Monsanto's Roundup or Bayer's Roundup is not a GMO product. It's actually, something else. And just how kind of nuanced and sneaky it is. And, it's one of those standards. I appreciate that. I appreciate that companies are signing up for the non-GMO standard, but there should be a little bit more.
It should cover more or something like that.
It should cover more, especially something
like Roundup were made in unison with GMOs. It's like, we made GMO products that can stay alive when you dump this toxic stuff on it. So yeah, it's testing for those GMOs, but not for all the toxic stuff.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's look at another farmer here. What do you want to look at? What's one of the?
Do they have any U.S. or Northwest farmers?
Brown rice syrup, is that in our? I think
rice flour is in here. Let's see.
Brown rice flour. So actually in Lathrop, California.
Oh, there we go. So it's definitely seeming like the flag this brand 1 Degree is planting is this kind of direct connection with the farmers, which I feel like is not uncommon per se in the natural product industry, right? A lot of them are more directly connected to the producers than mainstream brands. but they went all in on it and even named the company 1 Degree, assuming it's like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or something like that. Instead, there's 1 Degree. They should have Kevin Bacon somewhere on their list of farmers just as a joke to play off the name. But
I think so. But
yeah,
you know what I like about this is it's not like a templated. I mean, there's a couple things. It'd be nice if we knew a little bit. Well, I guess they have it on the side here, but it's not templated, so I can really know who this farmer is. And then I haven't watched the videos, but yeah, just some real.
By not templated, you mean like each farmer page is treated differently?
Yeah, well, it's not a fill in the blank. It's an actual proper interview of the farmer and talking about the product itself.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna stop share. Well, let's just look at our story. That might be an interesting one. I was gonna stop.
Yeah, take a bite. 1 small family, 1 big idea.
Yeah, and 1 degree of separation. So know your food. You know, this would be interesting for blockchain. This is something that VeChain is doing.
Yeah, the transparency or the traceability, you mean? Yeah,
traceability and chain of custody and supply chain.
What I'd be interested to know, I think in the industry, traceability is a big thing, but what I would be curious to know is for consumers, where does that rank? Because I don't know if I've seen that show up as a top priority for consumers anywhere. So maybe that's why they're leaning in on ingredient transparency rather than traceability. Because I feel like when I first heard of 1 Degree, I could be wrong, but I want to say they were leaning in on traceable, but maybe that was just my assumption because of their name. But with the big copy on the top of this box, it says 100% ingredient transparency. And then obviously when I click the QR code, it just shows me the ingredients and who grew them, etc. So it starts leading you towards traceability, but really it does lean in on transparency, which I think is a higher consumer interest. But have you seen anything in any research that you've read on how traceable kind of ranks amongst other attributes consumers are looking for?
No, I haven't. Well, I would say that I'm a little bit skewed because I do dive deep into the brands that I support. I feel like this idea of voting with our dollars, right? So where are my dollars going and what am I supporting with those dollars? And what do I want to see in the world? So
you would throw the whole survey off.
What's that?
You would throw the whole survey off. People would be like, wow, everyone reads every ingredient on the product and goes to our website and looks them up and reads about each of our farmers and drives out to the farm to shake their hand. But then like they find out that, nope, that was just Rob.
It's like that Portlandia episode, right? Of their the chicken and they
yeah, exactly.
Well, what was he well liked? Did he have a lot of chicken friends? Yeah, I guess it would be she. You know, was she well liked? Did she have a lot of chicken friends?
You know, one thing I'm liking about this that isn't overly obvious on the front of the box is anytime I see like cacao or chocolate flavored cereal or something like that, my immediate assumption is it's going to be candy. It's going to be more of a dessert treat, not a cereal. But yeah, I appreciate that this has a nice clean flavor and a bit of chocolatiness, but without the overwhelming sugar. And I haven't looked at the nutrition panel yet, but I would be interested to compare the sugar content in this to some other brands and see if that's like something they could be talking about as well. Because I'm a big advocate for picking your lane, and they've obviously picked the transparency lane. But as somebody who appreciates lower sugar content, I might have been more drawn to them for that than for transparency. Whereas maybe for you, transparency is the winner.
Well, I was going to say that I haven't even read, not until you started talking about it, I hadn't even looked at nutrition. Yeah. So for me, I think nutrition is implied by the source of the product, or the health of the soil in which the product is grown in. So if it's a big mass monoculture system that has tons of inputs, my thought is that it's nutritionally void, right?
Yeah.
And then the number of times that those ingredients go from farmer field to warehouse to distribution to this to that.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I don't know if it's going to focus on this, but it does have quite a nice list of vitamins and minerals and stuff in there, with manganese being 40% of your daily dose. So that's on there.
My manganese is 39 up here in Canada.
Yeah, you guys have a harsher criteria for that. But sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
So, no, I think it's I think the nutrition labels are important because we need to have a balance. But I think for me, nutrition is, if I'm 1 degree of separation away from that food, or I guess maybe 2 degrees because they have to produce it. The company itself is 1 degree away from the food, so I'd be a 2nd degree. I feel a lot better knowing that. And
I hear that, but at the same time, does a shorter supply chain really mean quality of agriculture? I don't know if that's implied everywhere. I mean, you could be 1 degree separated from a monoculture, non-organic, full of GMOs and glyphosate farm as well. But does that mean just because you're closer in connection to them that the food's better?
No, but it definitely doesn't. However, I feel that through my values of purchasing, that being able to dive a little bit deeper and actually see the farmers, and also see how it's growing and what do they have here, our story. And
so when you dig deeper, you're saying you're starting to unravel a story of better quality nutrition, taking care of the planet, and hopefully, I would assume this also means like better pay for the farmers, because that's one of the biggest value adds I would say for a short supply chain, is that the person at the bottom of the chain or the beginning of the chain isn't getting crunched by having to get have a super low price so everyone along the chain can get their profit.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things, I was looking at the bottom of my box here, type in my code that we could see real time. One of the things that's that we're seeing is just huge agribusiness kind of moving that small farmer out.
Yeah.
So 137, let's see.
Your code was on the bottom of your box?
Yeah. Oh.
Are you sure it's not the one on the back of the box here?
The back of the box. Oh yeah, that one. Okay.
I think you were typing in the UPC maybe.
No, I think it was the case number. The case number.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. That it would make sense to have a QR code. But I'm wondering with the dot matrix printer if the QR code would actually come out. Oh, yeah.
My camera's wigging out here. There we go.
Okay. So it's kind of.
See, that's where. And I wonder is this just their normal product page? Because that kind of prominent buy now button, when I obviously just typed in the code, feels awkward to me. But maybe this is just the product page, and instead of making a new page for the QR code, they just link you straight to the product page.
Yeah, that would be a good one to know.
So it looks like they're leaning in on this 1 degree, but then they're also kind of heavily focused on this glyphosate free, which is obviously tied to organic. But with that said, there have been some organic products that tested with higher rates of glyphosate just because of drift or other things like that. So it's nice to see they're doing both, of course, but hopefully most consumers, well, I'm getting ahead of myself there. I doubt most consumers know that organic means glyphosate free, but the more educated organic consumer would probably assume that. But they went ahead and kind of made that a prominent statement on the box too, probably had some good research behind that. And then they're also leaning in on gluten-free, mentioned multiple times on the box. So it seems they're focused there.
Okay. So, they're doing bread now. Interesting.
Is your
cereal getting soggy? Is that what you want to ask me?
It is, yeah. Is gluten-free one of the reasons that you were drawn to this brand?
I love gluten. Yeah, but
You're a
I think it's
glutenophile.
what's that?
You're a glutenophile or something.
Mhm. But I also make my own bread and
Yeah.
etc. So Gage, from a brand perspective, like what advice would you give a company like 1Degree?
Yeah, I think they're leaning in on taste appeal, which in almost every study that usually comes up number one for consumers. So this delicious looking image of the O's, I think kind of helps, and you get to see the product and see the kind of quality of it, the shape, etc. You might get a feel for the crunch of it, and then they obviously show some other serving suggestions with some fruit. So I feel like visually that's nice. I think a lot of brands that are kind of promoting clean ingredients or transparency or whatever often go with a lot of white backgrounds. So I think they're just playing off of that trend. I don't know if that's working or not for them. I'd have to look at them on shelf against other products.
Yeah, we can see Earth Zone.
But I think the main thing I would suggest is just maybe playing around a little bit more with their messaging hierarchy, because I'm not sure if using some of this space to repeat gluten-free when the logo is so prominent right here already. Like there's some just little communication hierarchy things I would look at.
Do you have a gluten-free
like
logo on yours?
I feel like their logo is a little rough. This looks like the logo they designed themselves when they launched the brand, but then the rest of the package looks more professional. So I would probably suggest they evolve the logo at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder who their market is. Who do you think their market is?
Who's their buyer market?
Yeah, their key demographic.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the rest of the products. Maybe it is like aiming towards the gluten-free audience, which might be why they're raising that in profile on the package a bit more. But I would guess, just by the focus on ingredient transparency and no real mentions of nutrition or anything else like that per se, that, well, I guess they do say whole grain and small type down below, but I would just guess they're leaning towards the general kind of organic consumer that's looking for clean products with the gluten-free there, but then ingredient transparency just leans to general kind of like natural product market consumer. But I'd be curious if they're dialing that in further. Who are they looking for? And I don't think it's clear based on the package, other than my hunch would be maybe gluten-free is a big part of their demographic.
Yeah, I mean, their tagline is "Farmers We Know," right? So all ingredients from farmers we know.
Yeah.
Which, without going to the website, I would think it's kind of some sort of message wash. And maybe I'm a little cynical with with brands out there, because we see so many, what's the word I'm looking for? Just questionable claims on packaging. Absolutely. And questionable claims, and like, oh, we could
very like exaggerated claims.
Yeah, exaggerated. That might be a better way to do it.
Yeah, and I would say, like, with the whole "we know the farmer, you can know the farmer, you're 1 degree separated," like, it's an interesting angle, but I feel like that's probably more important to them as the business owners or as the people with the relationships with the farmers than it is to consumers. And I say that purely because I know in the earlier days of natural product marketing, especially in like coffee or chocolate or other things where your farmer is really separated, like separated by continents, that some of the early days of marketing in that space were to show the farmer, to show, hey, like, we actually know this person, and here is this person, and here's their story. But as the kind of market got saturated with farmer faces all over all the products, then companies started dialing back a little bit from that, probably partly due to the fact that, like, they realized even if you're putting a picture of a farmer, if that farmer is like so far disconnected from me, it's like, it's not that compelling of a story compared to like taste or nutrition profile or the fact that you're gluten-free or something like that. So I think it's interesting and bold of them to be leaning in on the know your farmer.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most successful versions of it, and actually I've got an example of it here, is like Organic Valley's obviously been one of those know your farmer brands for a long time, but what's really been powerful for them is their buying pools are regionally based. So they can literally put a picture of a farmer in my region on the front of my package that I get at my local store, because they know in most cases that milk came from somewhere near me. So possibly for them, it would be interesting to tell more of a, here's your local farmer. Like maybe instead of me typing in my product code and seeing all the farmers in there, let me go discover that elsewhere. Instead, maybe my product code should be my region. And then when I go to their website, I see the farmers near me. Because I feel like that's a little bit more compelling of a story for consumers, is local.
Yeah, for sure.
Shows up higher than just, oh, okay, so you know the farmer that you're working with in South America. Like that's not as compelling as, oh, this came from 50 miles from my house. You know, like you said, one of the farmers was 4 hours from you.
Yeah, actually, a number of the farmers. I mean, I live in the grain belt of Canada, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and actually in northern Alberta, there's a lot less spray than other parts. Well, one of the things that I'm just looking at the origin story. Here, I'll pull this up onto my screen again. I'm just looking at the origin story here, and it's something that I do see missing, but missing on the packaging. Our family believes in the connection between healthy soil, healthy plants, and healthy people.
Yeah.
And we believe you deserve 100% transparency. But I don't see where, I guess I do see it a little bit. Clean organic, about our clean food. But I don't see any sort of measurement or any sort of quantification of, what that actually means, like why that's important.
Yeah, which, you mean the transparency or the healthy part?
The healthy part, right? So that they have the transparency is apparent, right? But their origin story is their origin statement. It's not even a story, believe in the connection between healthy soil, healthy plants, and healthy people. So how do we tie that into some sort of impact report that maybe allows me to know when I buy 1 degree, how I'm contributing to healthy soil, how I'm contributing to healthy plants and healthy people? And, to your point, like, are there fair wages being paid? We assume that because they are direct with the farmers, and, that's why we created 1 degree organic foods, to give you the power to meet every farmer, farm cooperative, and producer behind every ingredient you're eating, just like a farmer's market. I don't know if I feel like I'm eating farmer's market cereal. And I'm not sure how I'm contributing directly to those farmers. But it'd be interesting to, and I know that I said something earlier about being a conscious consumer and purchasing with, voting with my dollars. And, I'm still happy to support one degree, but I think that they have a much bigger story to tell that could unlock a lot more. And I think maybe it's one of those brands that is just can, start to grow, right? And mature. I think they're really an early brand. Have done some great things. I can't remember how, and that's the other thing, like with the origin story, like how long have you been around?
Yeah,
is it 10 years? Or are you brand new?
100-year long like family farm, kind of multi-generation, or is this, was this founded 2 years ago? I know I just started seeing it a few years back, but I don't know how long they've been around otherwise. Like maybe it's a legacy brand in Canada and they just got to the US. I'm not sure.
No, I think they've only been around like 5 years maybe.
But I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think there's like, I would compliment them on the fact for that they did pick a lane, by which I mean this transparency lane. And so many mission-driven brands have a hard time just deciding which thing to lean into, because they have so much to talk about and they want to communicate it all, which makes sense because they care about it all, and consumers to different degrees care about it all. But what I think is potentially missing from this is, I think they picked something they care about, which is great. That's important. They should have a passion that drives them. But I think as they grow, they'll probably start doing a little more research to really figure out what their consumers care about. And maybe when they do that, leaning more on that healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy people, and how supporting these family farmers that are doing it right or whatever, maybe something like that will come out. Whereas right now, if I were to look at a brand that's leaning in on know your family farmers and so on and so forth, that story is more about like taking care of those farmers and making sure they're getting fair pay. And And maybe if they were a fresh product like produce, it's also about the quality of the product, because it didn't get shipped all around the country and it's not 2 weeks old by the time you eat it. It's fresh, but they're a produced product, so that's less relevant.
Mhm.
So I think they're like almost there, I think is what you're hinting at. And with a little bit of clarity on their end about kind of where they're going to plant that flag or what makes the most sense for the market for them to scale, then I think with a few tweaks, they could be really touching more heartstrings there, or at least getting really clear on what it is that they're all about.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, just expanding on that origin story.
Yeah.
So one of the, I have to get back to work here, and my lunch break is almost over. I have to punch my card and make sure that
I see the boss looking over your shoulder there, so just tapping the
yeah. I mean, I have this frame, but out here, just over here, there's a lot of pressure to get it done. So one thing that we did the last call, when we were eating some tasted chips, we kind of gave it a ranking. Gave the company a ranking, which I believe was out of 10.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What do you think? 1 degree, like out of 10?
I would say just my gut is drawing me to like 7.5 or 8, by which I mean I think they probably have the ingredients there to be a 9+, but it's just still a little confusing. Like I don't know if I were to describe this brand to someone, I don't know how I would describe it. Is it really about transparency? Is it about traceability? Is it about knowing your farmer? Is it about healthy? So I'm not really sure. I think they've got a lot there, like more than our last episode. There's more to talk about, but I'm just not quite sure on how to describe it. Therefore, I'm just gonna put them in like a 7.5 that has potential to be a 9+.
Yeah, I think I think 7 is where I'd go, because I think there's a lot, like you said, a lot there to work with, but it's just there's not clarity on where, like you said, pick a lane. And then why am I buying this product? I mean, it tastes good. It was I didn't mind the taste, and I'm not a cereal person anyway, but except for lunch hours like this.
Yeah.
What I really I think the biggest differentiator, I think, is that farmer story, which they could tell and quantify. And do they have goals? Like, what's the purpose of the company? Is it to know the farmer? And how do we know when we've achieved that? Is it to be 100% transparent? Like, I would need a deeper origin story to really like feel empathetically connected to this brand, to this organization, and feel like I was buying something great. But I do like the glyphosate free. Like, I love that they have put glyphosate free on the product. And if we look at, well, I don't know if this is, I was gonna just quantifying some of that oat carbon footprint, land use, water use. Like, I think that would be compelling. And then maybe looking at those other areas of the supply chain, and how are they actually contributing to making those farms better. So if they're 1 degree of separation, they have a responsibility to not only from a supply chain perspective, they have a responsibility, but also from their own kind of like supply chain security, they have a responsibility to actually support those farms in a better way. The one thing, and for better or for worse, B Corp certification, right? That would help tell a deeper story. It's not on there, and I don't know that every brand needs to be B Corp certified, but I think it's what's that?
It may as well be, sure.
Might as well be, yeah, for sure. But I think that it'd be a great opportunity for them to just do some deeper uncovering and look at some of those potential areas for improvement.
Yeah, I think that all resonates with me. It's like they've got some potential, but they're just not digging in deep enough quite yet. Or maybe they are, and they're just not telling that story. But I think, back to that copy you saw on the website, I just noticed it's on the box too, but they're leaning in on this idea of the reason 1 degree of separation is important is so that you can meet all the farmers, just like at a farmer's market. But I don't know about everyone, but I don't go to the farmer's market just to meet the farmer. I go there because the product is probably fresher and I'm supporting the local economy. So meeting the farmer isn't my top priority. And if that's what they're leaning in on, I think they got to dig a little bit deeper and really figure out like I get that that's important to them, but what's important to the people buying your product? I think they need to do a little bit more digging into that. And I think telling some of those impact stories, or like, why is it important that it's 1 degree separated in terms of healthy soil and family farmers and all that kind of stuff, like give us a little bit more meat on that bone, so that we can really understand how our purchase helps make that impact.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the other thing is like meet the company. They have one paragraph that talks, but there's no like who is this family that's 1 degree? Who's this company 1 degree, right? Like we know a lot about the farmers, but the company themselves, I think.
Yeah, even on the box it has like the picture of the family again, and it just says founder Stan Smith, and I'm like, well, which one of those is Stan? And like, what's the relationship with the rest of the family? Like, it would have been nice to just say like 2 generations of the Stan family, like something like.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. It would be nice
Yeah.
to know a little bit more.
Well, further down, there's actually Stan has signed it. Kathy, Alona, Sandra, and Amy.
But it's still not even clear who's Stan.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think Stan's right here.
Yeah, could be. Like they've got the same 2 guys down here, but it's not ever clear. But anyway, yeah, that makes total sense. So I guess if we're averaging out, we're at like a 7.25 with potential to be higher if they dig a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And then, yeah, like how intrinsically engaged are the employees to that higher purpose and da. So it starts to ripple out. Yeah. Hey, Gage, it was great chatting with you.
Fun to share a meal.
Yeah. I look forward to our next lunch hour. This is seems to be the only time I eat these days.
Yeah, it's about it. Yeah, my lunch hour varies at different times throughout the day because you're squeezing it in between meetings. So it's always fun to have this on our calendar so that I remember to eat.
Well, and maybe I'll go check out a farmer's market because unlike you, I go to the farmer's market for free samples. So
well, our market doesn't give, or at least not since COVID.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Free samples are good. Good call. All right. Well, until I bump into you at the farmer's market, have a good rest of your week. Get back to work. Your boss is texting me, telling me you need to get back to work. So.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Cheers.
Take care, Gage. Ciao.